Hi friends, Wahid Khan here. I'm originally from Pakistan and reside in US now. I'm a certified life coach, a speaker, blogger, writer, and a consultant to automobile business, primarily for used car dealerships. Um, I have spent over 16 years in automobile business, and I remember starting it. It was very different back then, 15, 16 years ago, compared to what you have now. And it's been a long journey, but I worked at different positions in automobile business, anywhere in sales, financing, management, co-founding dealerships, setting up the brand, online advertisement, like all this, the whole nine yards. So I decided to make a series of these videos where I can assist people because I know car buying, especially used car buying, is a very complicated decision. It's not something that's for few, 10, 20 bucks that you go out there and then even if it goes bad, it doesn't really make a difference. That's not how it is. It's a major purchase. People sit in it every day, spend a lot of hours in that car. Maintenance wise, how to purchase the vehicle and not getting ripped off primarily is the key here. So I decided to make all these videos where I can assist consumer with my experience about financing, about the negative equity issues, about how to buy the used cars, negotiate properly, what kind of fees are fine that are dealership charge, and what fees are not supposed to be there. So all these questions, of course, I cannot cover everything in one video or one lecture. Like it's I have to, there's a lot of questions, as I've seen so many different scenarios over the years. I know there can be so many different questions. So feel free to give me, ask any questions, and I'll even if I can't respond to it now, I'll love to get back to you later, at first availability. But I'm here to help you. So go ahead and ask me any questions that you might have about the car industry yourself, even if you're a salesperson or a manager, finance manager, or if you're a consumer trying to buy the car. I'm here to help you guys. So buying a used vehicle, how do you buy a car for yourself, right? I remember when I first started in this industry, it was early 2000s, and things were very different back then. Saturday, Sunday, Friday, people will come with their families, and you'll see them walking around the dealerships. Majority of the advertisements that were out there were to the magazines, the newspaper. Auto Trader, Cars.com was pretty new. Not that many people were still going out there, and trying to buy cars online. So you'll see people coming up on the weekend with their families, and at those points, if someone has a certain budget, and then whatever price you quote them, whatever they buy the car for, pretty much that was it back then. There wasn't any complication involved, and then so there was crazy profits, and then thanks to the internet, because nowadays you have a lot of these websites online, and then you can kind of compare and shop and all that. But it might give us an impression that that things have gotten better now. The cars are since there's more competition, the prices are much fair, and dealerships are gonna be, since there are reviews out there, dealerships are gonna treat us better, things like that. Still not true. I mean, with the competition that's out there, in fact, it's worse, because now you have all these consumers, and you have limited amount of cars, and consumers know a lot, and there's so much competition out there. So in fact, sales guys, they're highly trained professional, and I'm not saying all of them are like that, but also their job is to benefit the dealerships and also help on your side. But if they're working for the car dealerships, then any moment, any chance that majority of them are going to get, when they realize that the consumer has not done their part, they haven't done their diligence, that's what they get paid for. And then consumer end up getting, paying them more money, and then coming home and then regretting it, and going online and checking at the other stuff, and then cursing themselves out. The thing is about the car business, and being in it for the longest time, there's no fiduciary duties to the salespeople. So majority of the assumption revolves around consumers doing their diligence and not the dealerships. If dealerships are supposed to disclose you with, the laws have gotten much stricter lately, and now dealerships are responsible for disclosing you certain information. But being in car industry, I have realized how quickly sales associate, or how quickly managements and they kind of go over that. So the consumer never gets a chance to actually ask any relative questions. They kind of know how to twist, which way, which what not to say, what to say, and you have to understand that. So going out there nowadays and thinking that there's gonna be a nice sales guy, and since we are nice guy, you're a nice guy, and then a nice girl, and then you're gonna go out there and you're gonna find someone nice who's gonna treat you well. It's a good assumption, but you have to understand that the sales guys that are on the other side, they're getting paid, even if they're nice, they have to work on both sides, like for the consumer and for the dealership. So it only makes sense for the consumer to do their diligence and do all the homework prior to going into a dealership, prior to contacting these dealerships, prior to start calling the sales guys or asking your friends. I mean, we got to start a plan. How are we going to buy the car? What kind of car we need? What fits my budget? And things like that. So the first and foremost important thing is that we consumer, since we are the one who's going to buy the vehicle, since we are the one, it's our money. It's not dealership's money. We're actually going there to purchase something from them. So we are supposed to do our inspection. We are supposed to do our research online. We are supposed to find out what we're looking for, and not the other way around, going to the dealership and asking a salesperson to help us assist in finding the right budget vehicle. I mean, you don't want to give your fate in the hand of a sales guy and a manager, would you? I mean, this is why a $15,000 vehicle becomes 20,000, and a $20,000 vehicle becomes 30,000, because sales guys, these guys we are trained to drain customers out, and at the end, once they can't figure out what they're looking for, and then fear of missing out and the tiredness and the whole nine yard, just mix them together, have them sign the thing, and we'll see you later. Don't want to do that. The first thing when we start looking for a vehicle, the first important the step is to find out what our budget is. Like, without knowing the budget, just walking to the dealership and giving our luck or fate in their hands to basically treat us nicely, it's a good positive approach. But unfortunately, with the culture that we have, that one's person loss is the other person's gain, it barely works. Like, we don't want to do that. So we want to start with our budget. Now, when we say about the budget part, what does it mean to be budget? Does budget mean that whatever money I make and whatever I'm left with and what I think that I can afford on a car, is that how you do the budgeting? Well, that's not the way to do the budget, sitting at the dealership thinking about this payment I can afford or I can't afford, or like this, what's going to happen, and if this is the right car I'm getting or not. The first thing we want to do is we want to find out what will be the money that we can afford monthly. If you're buying things or cash, much easier, right? We have the money in the pocket, we write the check, we get over it, right? There's still some questions that the maintenance wise, the oil changes, the gas mileage, the whole nine yard, that's still going to be coming along. And if the car is much older, might have to get warranties, and there will be, if there's no warranty, more work is available. Like later on, more work will be there. And if the car is much newer, maybe less work, and maybe not the warranty. So there's all sort of things that you have to play in your mind before jumping into the dealership and start test driving the vehicle and letting them have you sign the documents on the car that they want to get rid of. What we want to do, budgeting, what I try to make it simple, in that way we understand how the budgeting works. So budgeting is the car payment, insurance, the gas money, and the maintenance, the future maintenance that we'll be performing on the vehicle. So that is our budget for the car, not just $200 that we're making for the car payment, not just the car that we like or we think we can afford it, or it's only $20 more, it's only $15 more. No, the budget for the car means car payment, the money we'll be paying monthly for the insurance, the gas we'll be spending to get back and forth if it's a V6 4 cylinder, it's a five cylinder V8, whatever it is. And the maintenance, oil changes every 3 months or 6 months, and some other major work on the car every 6 months, few $100 here and there. So that combines our budget for the vehicle. I mean, buying a vehicle is one thing, but be able to afford it is another thing. I always say that. It's because I work in luxury business and the luxury car industry, and then you'll find consumer buying a car for $40,000, $50,000, but then they'll be struggling to pay the taxes on it. And you can forget about the maintenance. Cars will come in for maintenance. They'll be sitting there for weeks before they could actually pay that. So there's one thing about just buying the vehicle on a payment plan. It's another thing to afford it. So we want to afford the vehicle. So that's why the budgeting is so important. Now, how to do that budget? Whatever our gross income is, if you're a new consumer, first time buyer, second time, you already have purchased enough vehicles and you still want to know what you can, qualify for, because the banks sometimes do qualify for more money, but what you can afford is your budget, right? Not what the bank is willing to give you. They will give you $50,000, but that doesn't mean, or they approve me for a $100,000 loan, doesn't mean I'm going to go out and get that loan, because there's so many other expenses that I'm aware of that the bank doesn't know. They're just looking basis off of what's on my credit and not really, what I'm actually going through. So we want to create our own budget. So whatever our income is, let's suppose my income is $5,000. Let's suppose my income is $5,000, right? So normally the banks on a financing terms, what we call payment to income, they give you about 10 to 15%, sometimes a little bit more, and sometimes a little bit less, but mostly is between 10 to 15% of your gross monthly income. So if I assume with a 10%, and if I make $5,000 a month, and I don't have any other auto loans or anything, so the budget for the car loan that the bank looks at me for, like, is about $500. That's how bank looks at me, right? If I'm a first time buyer, more than likely 500. If I purchase enough cars before, maybe it will go to 15%, so $600-$700 car payments are going to be even okay. But for the assumption here, I'm just going to go 10%. That so out of 5,000, now I kind of know that the bank will be able to give me up to, I can go up to $500. The bank more than likely will give me up to $500 a month. That's being conservative, right? Now we want to know where our insurance is going to be. We can pick a couple of cars, just call them, and kind of get a rough idea if my insurance is going to be monthly $100, $50, $70, $200, whatever it is. And then I also have to figure out, if I do an oil change every 3 to 4 months, that's $50 to $100. And then how much gas I use per weekly, depending on how far I'm going to be work. So you have to put some of these numbers down. And when we're trying to do that budget, we want to make sure that we are somewhere at between 500, and even if you go more than 10%, let's suppose you can afford a bit more, you go 10, 12%, your insurance, your car payment, your everything should not go past $500, because not only the bank thinks like that, but actually I'm telling you from experience, because later on, if you purchase a house that you're looking at 45% DTI, and then if you're looking at later on for the house and looking at those incomes, and then if you combine that with 15% here, it just that automatically adds up to 60%, and you don't want to keep on going high on your debt in case you have to pull some money out of your credit cards and things like that. So we want to make sure that those guidelines are very good. If you stay between 10-12% of your gross income, and that's your budget for the car payment, that's a very good budget overall. Normally, you can of course look into your own how much money you make and what you can afford, what's your affordability. But if you keep this rule on your side, where if you want to know what's the monthly payment I'll be given by the bank, what's the max payment I can get by the bank, or what will be my budget, then you'll be at $200 or $300 or 10% of whatever income you have, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and that's the gross income I'm talking about, because majority of the lenders in our industry, they look at the gross income and not the net income. So you want to go based off of that. And now once you have that number figured out, you can do you have a $500 car payment, but then then there's more questions like if your credit is good, then it's 5%. If your credit is bad, the rate can be higher. But you can try different things like on a finance calculator that you can find on google.com, and auto calculator, and just punch in different rates just based on your assumption. If you're a first time buyer and don't have any co-signers, and there's no credit, and this is the first time you're going to be getting an auto loan, you can try different things, 10, 15%, even 20%, or highest 25%. That's allowed in certain states. You can try and just do a 60-month payment plan and see what number are you coming up with. Whether it's 10,000, whether it's 20,000, whether it's 15,000. A general rule of the thumb is like if you have, on a 5%, if you have a rate of 5% interest rate, right, and then you have a 60 months loan, every thousand is going to be about $20 a month. So your 10,000, you're looking at a 60 months loan with a 5% rate at $200 a month. And then of course you can change these rates, 10%, 15%, and your monthly payments are going to change. So budgeting, we have to start with budgeting ourselves before we contact the dealership, before we start going in, before we submit that application and hand them over everything about us, and let us look at it and just come back to us with all these extra fees, because now they know we don't have much credit, or they know that I'm in a mid situation where I'm kind of stuck. I have another auto loan, and now so all those fees and all these rates and points starts coming on top of it, which we don't want to pay out of pocket. It's already enough that we're giving them profit on the car that they're selling. We don't want to be paying these extra fees and extra points on top of what it is. So the first step is to find out the budget. And how to find the budget, not just what you can afford for a car payment. We want to find out what the total budget for the car is a monthly, my maintenance, my insurance, my car, my gas mileage, and the actual car payment. And then I want to make sure that it stays between a threshold of 10 to 15% of my gross income, because that's more like affordability. I mean, it's different later on. Once you have additional income, your credit is established, the banks are more lenient, they even allow you to have multiple vehicles. But for the timing, when we're starting anytime in a used car, the first thing we want to do, we want to start with a budget. We don't want to just walk into the dealership and fill out an application and see what can you approve me for, what it is. We will be talking about the financing part in the next discussion. This is about it as far as the budgeting goes. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact me through messages, or through on the messenger, or you can text me on the WhatsApp. It's all available there. Buying car buying is never easy. It's just the moment is more of it's very sad the way the whole thing works. How we are. I wish there were a little bit better system in the market, like where sales guys and managers were held much more accountable for the actions. But unfortunately, in the real estate you will see a little bit more of this, but in automobile industry there's less empathy for the client. So consumers have to do their own diligence. They have to make sure that their budgets are right, that their financings are secured, that they have the vehicle inspected ahead of time. That it's not that they're not nice people at the dealership, but the less promises you have, the better it gets for you. So work on your budget and write down. And if you have any questions, for me, if you want me to even calculate your monthly income, you can send me some information on your hourly pays, and how do you get paid, and I can even calculate those things for you. So talk to you guys soon, and take care. And I'll look forward to have any questions. And I think I have some people there. Hi everyone, whoever is live watching. And if you have any questions, please write it down, and I'll love to. Otherwise, I'll basically close the session and look